Today's sponsor is NetRef, a powerful internet management and edtech reporting tool for schools. Stay tuned at the end of the show to learn more about NetRef. What educators need to know right now about digital citizenship. This is part one of my interview with Ann Collier, Internet Safety Expert. This is episode 456.
The 10-Minute Teacher Podcast with Vicki Davis. Every weekday, you'll learn powerful, practical ways to be a more remarkable teacher today.
Today, we're talking with one of my favorite internet safety and digital citizenship experts, Ann Collier. It has been too long, Ann, since you have been on the show, and we will link to your last show, which I believe was from 2017. What kind of progress has been made in the last 2 years in the area of digital citizenship and internet safety?
I think a lot of progress. I'm really excited that it's kind of moving out of the rebranded internet safety kind of space, and that it's really now much more about civic engagement and student voice and leadership and really where it needs to be. And if you want specific examples of progress, I think the new definition that ISTE has adopted that was shared by CEO Richard Collada, that's amazing. His 4 components were making your community better, respectful debate, shaping public policy, and finally, the media literacy part, recognizing the validity of online sources, all of which is really huge since we've all gotten very, very steeped in politics. I think this is really good preparation for students going forward. And then we've had Kristen Mattson's Digital Citizenship in Action book, which has tons of great examples of what digital citizenship instruction really should be. And we've had some really good scholarly research from the University of New Hampshire with guidelines on how to approach it.
So, the fourth one you mentioned about the recognizing the validity of online sources, it almost seems harder, though. I have so many kids, it's like, what is truth? Truth is how you see it. And, there's that word truthiness that was invented, which basically is if it sounds like it's true, we think it is. And that's just a horrific thing that, okay, if it sounds true, I'm going to share it as if it is true. That's just a terrible habit a lot of adults have. How do we inoculate our students from such behavior?
Well, we have got to have more media literacy education. It's not a panacea, but you can't have citizenship without 3 literacies now. And one is media literacy. The other one is social literacy or social emotional learning, which helps us be successful in social digital media environments. And the final one, of course, is digital literacy. You got to have all 3. And media literacy is essential. And I think we kind of fell down on the job for a while there as a society and in K through 12. And now we're really seeing the need for it.
What are your favorite sources or some places we can go for really helping kids in these areas?
Well, there are great sources that have been funded by the tech companies like Pointer. There have been fact-checking organizations where you can look at current events together and do fact-checking on the fly together, the way journalists do for like the State of the Union address or whatever. Learning how to fact-check, learning how to apply critical thinking, namely the National Association of Media Literacy Educators, namely.org, MLE is another great source for educators. There are so many now, right? Because it's such a great concern for all of us.
Okay, so what do you think some threats or some concerns that have kind of arisen in the last 2 years with digital technology?
Well, I think in the past year, we've had a major wake-up call, and it's kind of all of us realizing the impact of big data. It used to be that TV stations and broadcasters or even political operatives could grab data about us in general, but now there's psychographic data, which is very, very specific and granular, that is available to a whole lot of organizations that look at everything from banks looking for patterns in bank fraud to political organizations looking for voting patterns and so on and so on. And so we saw with the last election, the one before the midterm election in 2016, and with Cambridge Analytica and all that emerged last spring, we really saw the impact impacts of all this data gathering. And I don't think on the part of all of the data gatherers, retailers and banks and social media companies, I don't think there's evil intent or anything. It's just that we realized how much they have on all of us that we actually put in ourselves. And we're beginning to see that we have a shared responsibility in figuring out the best way to use these new powers, right? So we have a lot of work to do going forward.
And we're only as secure as the least secure place that we've put in our data. So, there have been data breaches of everything from hotels to restaurants and gas stations that have compromised our security and made us, if we're paying attention, reset passwords on many, many websites. Do you think the average student and teacher understands this?
Yes. Cybersecurity is really also a form of civic engagement. We all have to be internet alert. We all have to know that secure passwords are very, very important. Different passwords from account to account, two-factor verification, that kind of thing. That is aging down to grade school levels. And we all have to help each other with these things and not share passwords with our friends, right? I'm actually working with Google on, I think it's an adorable curriculum for grades 4 through 6 called Be Internet Awesome. And yeah, this is civic engagement too. This is digital citizenship too.
And understanding those passwords. As anybody in a K-12 situation knows, helping those kids remember those passwords is just so very difficult. Now, there have also been some digital health and wellness type trends that are happening. What's going on in that arena?
There have been some whistleblowers that, have been scaring the crap out of all of us. And I think it's good for the most part because we're now really beginning to think about how much we're on our devices and how we find them compelling and how much of our time is spent there. We're learning a whole lot about how screen time is not an undifferentiated whole, that there are a gazillion kinds of screen time, and it's very individual and situational and contextual. And so we're learning to be smarter about how we use our devices. And I think part of the problem is we're realizing that whether they're tablets or Chromebooks or computers or phones, especially phones, everything is on them. From the weather to our homework to our banking to our entertainment. And that's why we spend so much time on them. And it's good for us to be thinking about all that. Critical thinking is really key. And that's what we're kind of waking up to the need for.
And there is a high inverse correlation with how much time you're on it to how happy you are with your life. So the more you're on it, the less happy you are with your life. Have you seen that? Or do you think those are the scare tactics that says you're going to be an unhappier person on Facebook? Hello, remarkable educators. I hate to end the interview right there, but we really didn't have a great stopping point. And this is pretty much a longer interview than the 10 minutes. So if you stay tuned tomorrow, you will get part 2 of this awesome interview with Ann Collier. Thanks for listening. NetRef recently gave me a tour of their powerful product. Could you imagine knowing how much time each class and department spends on websites and apps? How about each teacher being able to control what websites students can and cannot use? As an IT director, putting website filtering in the hands of teachers while being able to hold everyone accountable is exciting. To learn more about NetRef, go to coolcatteacher.com/NetRef helps. That's NETREFHELPS.
Thank you for listening to the 10-Minute Teacher Podcast. You can download the show notes and see the archive at coolcatteacher.com/podcast. Never stop learning.